Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are back with another Neurodiversity Stories. We do these every single Friday without fail at 11 a.m. and we broadcast this to share more awareness around neurodiversity. So guys, bit out of breath. We've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes in this sense, but we're live and we're with you. And guys, we are here. This is episode 8. So we're episode 8 of our Neurodiversity Stories. And guys, the amount of support that we've had has been incredible. So guys, if you would like to just obviously let us know where you're from, where you're tuning in from. I know that we spread as far as, I think we had last episode or the episode before, we had someone from Australia. And so that they're obviously up very late or up very early. We're not too sure how that works out. But guys, we are here for another Neurodiversity Stories. I am your host, and why are we doing it? So my name is Darren Clark, and I am a global neurodiversity consultant. And what I do is I help organizations spread more awareness around neurodiversity with speaking and training. So guys, we have had some phenomenal guests throughout our neurodiversity stories. And today, without fail, we have another absolutely incredible guest, Mark Stoddart, who I will bring on very, very shortly. But guys, I also want to tell you a little bit more news. We've also got a fantastic new sponsor, which is Scanning Pens. And check this out. Pens are we welcome Scanning Pens to Neurodiversity Stories. Scanning Pens are a global company who strives to embed a long life love of reading for all individuals with varying reading abilities. They recognize the importance of independence through all life stages. So their range of Scanning Pens have a transformation impact for users to become a habitable reader. So guys, they are our new sponsors. Check them out. I know one of the co-founders is watching at the moment, so please check them out. Scanning Pens, thank you so much again for sponsoring Neurodiversity Stories. We welcome you. So guys, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our next guest, Mark Stoddart, and he's going to be sharing his story around his life with dyslexia. So Mark is an international bronze designer and also an ambassador for Dyslexia Scotland. Some of Mark's clients have included the man who walked on the moon, the King of Saudi Arabia, pop stars, Scottish Parliament, and my goodness, the list goes on and on and on. It's absolutely incredible. Mark will share his incredible journey of his life with dyslexia and the incredible things that he has achieved. So guys, if you could give some emojis or some welcome to Mark, and I will bring on Mark. Good morning, Mark. How are you, my friend?
Good morning and good afternoon. Whatever part of the world we're in.
Mark, is absolutely tremendous. When you reached out and said that you were able to come onto the Neurodiversity Stories, I was absolutely thrilled. I've been watching the work that you've been doing that you've been posting out onto LinkedIn, and it's just incredible. And I'm really chuffed to have you share your story on Neurodiversity Stories. So Mark, I know a little bit about you, but if you wouldn't mind just telling the viewers who you are and again, a little bit about you, that would be amazing. Thank you, Mark.
My name is Mark Stoddart, and I'm from Tunbury in Ayrshire in Scotland. And last year was my 30th year anniversary of starting up doing what I do. Basically what I do, it's a bronze sculpture, but I turn it into what is called functional art. And you've got the sculpture, but then a glass top, and the glass is an integral part of the sculpture. So the example is like a hippo that's in a pool of water, and it's like a horse swimming in the water. And then I've done, say, like the Apollo lunar landing craft, that's the big thick glass represents the windows. So part of the sculpture and the glass is integrates. So they turn them into coffee tables and dining room tables, because I recognized years ago that people didn't have the space to have a big sculpture sitting in their homes. We don't live in these environments. Well, not everybody does. And so the next best thing was to do that. But to say the least, it's been quite a road and an experience to go down. When I
Absolutely.
started off, I never thought that 30 years plus later I'd still be going, and I didn't think that the pieces would end up being collectible. Plus, I had no idea that there is not a single part of the world that somebody has not collected one of my pieces. And the list of people who I have done pieces for literally reads who's list and right in the
Mark, are you allowed to name any names on that, or is that strictly? Don't worry if it's not. I don't want to. I don't want to create a lawsuit or anything else for you. But let's just say that the list that the names that you mentioned offline are very 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 well known global stars. Can we at least say that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, for example, doing the piece for the man was, oh dear, there we go, we'll get it. That was quite an experience. I got invited out to America to meet him, and it was an event held at Beverly Hills, and we tried to connect it with another event to do the presentation to him. His wife and his daughter. And when I went along initially, it was just, I was hooking into an event, and then they came on and says, no, it's now your event because you've overshadowed the whole event with your piece and all the people that are now coming. So you're going to have to pay for the drinks and pay for the food and pay for everything because it's your event now. So,
my goodness,
to say,
how did that come about then, Mark? Was it just a case of that obviously they saw the work that you were doing, and then obviously just contacted, I guess, your PR company or and reached out to you? How did that actually happen?
It's quite peculiar, to say the least, the way a lot of these things happen. Quite often I'll be at an exhibition and somebody will turn around and say, I saw your piece, is sitting in the palace. And I'm like, palace? What palace? And it turned out it was a piece that I'd done for the King of Saudi Arabia, and it was sitting in his palace, and it was of his own horse. But you don't get to know quite often. And it's the same, somebody said, oh, we've been at Elton John's for dinner, and we were sitting around your hippo. And I'm like, sorry, my hippo? And that's quite often the case. You don't know who they are. I mean, I'm doing a piece at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess it must feel quite humbling in the sense. I mean, you're very passionate. You've been doing this for a very very long time, if you don't mind me saying that. And obviously you have a real passion for it. But it must be really rewarding when anyone purchases it, purchases your stuff, it is phenomenal. And I guess when it gets it goes out to to kind of the next level. I guess when, like you said, princes are purchasing it and putting it in palaces and stuff. It must give you that kind of that sense of achievement.
It's very, very well. It sounds wrong, but whether it's dyslexic, whether it's what I've had to go throughout my life, and especially the early points of my life, that I don't feel as though I have achieved, and I don't feel as though I have ticked box. And it was funny, it was one occasion through Dyslexia Scotland, I get to meet Sir Jackie Stewart, and I kind of said to him, and I said, I've done X, Y, Z, and extremely privileged. There's no question about that. I'm very, very fortunate. And I said, I have to be careful who I say it to, but I don't feel I've ticked that box. And he kind of looked at me and he turned around and says, I know what you're talking about. I'm the same. But he says, the one thing is, if we probably had ticked that box, we wouldn't be carrying on doing what we still do. And I thought,
That's very
what
true.
point?
Yeah,
What
that's very true.
point? But we talk
And
about, the top end. Sorry, we talk about the top end, but some of the most humbling stories that I've had, and there was one, for example, there's throughout my time, and there's been loads, but there's one that somebody ordered a piece, and it was a husband and wife who never looked or thought about buying a piece, saw it, fell in love, brought a big smile to their face, and they were laughing. And they said, okay, could I have a piece? And the salesperson at the time had said, yeah, fine, no problem, you'll get it kind of like tomorrow. And I still had to finish it off and alter things, and it was the prototype. And the office says, look, will we wing it and just say, and I said, no, right up front. So they phoned and said to them, it'll take a little while to Mark to get it finished and get your piece to you. No, we really need it. You don't understand. My husband's got cancer. He's had all the treatment. It's not going to work. He's come home to die. And we want the piece to be sitting here in the lounge, so when he comes down in the morning, brings a smile to his face, and you personally deliver it, and the kids see it, and when he's not here, we can remember him by that. Initially, I was like, whoa, and then I was like, you can't get a bigger compliment than that.
that no, you're absolutely right, Mark. That's incredibly humbling. They said unfathomable how touching that element can be. Or can I bring you back slightly in just in the sense of your kind of dyslexic story, in the sense of and are you diagnosed with dyslexia? The reason I only ask that is because it's kind of we've got people who feel not feel that they should get diagnosis, but diagnosis in the sense of some people are diagnosed and some people know that they actually have the elements of dyslexia. Where do you sit with that, and when did you first kind of start realizing about your dyslexia?
It was a few years ago that, if we could run it through, that it was a relationship, and it broke down, and I was getting a house built in Walton Thames, etc., etc. And I was working for an American pharmaceutical company at the time, and living in London, and the whole kind of parts of it all fell to bits. And so I went to various people to kind of find out what was what, because I was suffering quite badly from anxiety and panic attacks and so on. And I was frightened to go anywhere, basically. I'd do anything. And then eventually went to child psychologist, and then I went to different people. Then I went down through it was through a friend that I get introduced to somebody, and then he kind of digests to all the kind of schooling, and I'd gone through a lot of different things in schooling, and I'd been told that I was sick, I was stupid, I would make nothing of my life. And the primary school that was at, I got my sums right, so they fine, you got a half day off. Then they said, right, to the whole school, if you get these sums right, then the whole school gets a day off. And obviously, I didn't know I was dyslexic then, and the dyslexia at that point kind of goes to bits. And so they made a big white cone, put the D on it, and sat me in front of the school assembly, and then sat me in front of the class for the day, because they thought I was lazy, I was stupid, I was thick, and trying to sort of bring me out of it. And then I went on to another school, a prep school after that. And again, I kind of fell back in classes, and again, I was getting teased, and I was worried in case I was asked to read anything or add anything, or I struggled to play football or cricket or the eyeball coordination. And again, I didn't know that I was dyslexic. And it came to the point where I was having to leave, and I went to school down in London for an interview, and the headmaster there happened to know all about stamps, and at that point I happened to know all about stamps, and he had turned around and said to my father, son's not sick and your son's not stupid, and this is the totally wrong school, that you need
Wow.
to get him tested. So for
What
dyslexia,
age?
and
What
so
age were you, Mark? What? Sorry, I do apologise for interrupting. What age were you
no,
when someone mentioned that this was the wrong school and that you should be supported
it's
elsewhere?
12,
Okay.
13.
Okay.
So at that point, I got tested for it, and they said, "Gosh, yeah, your son is dyslexic, no question about it, and has various forms of dyslexia." At that point, I had gone into a shell, and I wouldn't go on a bus, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't go anywhere, and I kind of thought, it was all my fault. And the way the teachers were teaching me and treating me, I wasn't coming back home and telling anybody. I just literally shut down. I wasn't going to say anything. Uh, and my father told the school, but the school did nothing about it. And the person that tested me said, "Look, your son needs to get the heck out of the way of that school. It's doing a massive amount of damage." I came home and I was supposed to go to George Watson's in Edinburgh, and
Okay.
something happened and I didn't get there. And then my father took seriously ill. I ended up staying at home for 2 years, and nobody knew I was at home for 2 years because my father was ill.
My
And
goodness.
I ended up just doing gardening and stay at home. And then when
Bless
my father got better, my mother basically kind of blackmailed him and says, "Look, uh, you spend so much time with your work." And I mean, I never, throughout my early childhood, I practically never saw my father. He was constantly working, and even when we went away on holidays, he would drop us off on holidays on the weekend. He'd go way back to work and then come back and pick us back up again. So my mother kind of says, "Look, put your effort back into finding the right school for him." So he found this school down in Sussex that I'd never been away. I was totally introverted. I had no friends left because when I left the school, I just left everybody. I didn't tell anybody. I just went, and that was it. So I knew I had to go down there, and I knew it was the only kind of break that I would get in my life. And
you.
uh, it was quite dramatic for me to go away from Scotland down to the bottom of Sussex,
I bet it
and
was.
be
I
left
bet it was.
there.
It's such a young age. Such a young age as well.
Well, yes, it was kind of 14, 15, something like that.
Still, yeah, still a big change.
But as I say, wouldn't speak to anybody. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't go on a bus. I wouldn't go on a train. But here was me having to be flying up and down and doing this and so on. So I can't say anything else, but the school had a
What?
totally different attitude to teaching, and it had a totally different attitude to people, and the headmaster had a totally different outlook. It was all 100% for the pupils. And I mean, I literally went back to square one, and I had to do my times table, my alphabet. I just start from scratch and start away again at that age. And he gave you as much rope as you want, as long as you didn't hang yourself with it. And so I was able to go up to London for the weekends. I was able to do this and do that. And in my last term, I get to say, very fortunate. My father got me a car and brought it down, and the headmaster said, he's trying to get confidence with himself so he can go out to the big bad world, and he's going to eventually look at working for his father in his business. And so at that point, my father had set a business up on his own. Uh, and so the headmaster said the last kind of summer term, no, he's not answerable to anybody apart from me, the headmaster, and let him find his own feet and so on. So it was totally a different way of thinking.
Okay. So how? I mean, you talk about. I mean, there's lots of people who's made mentioned comments down there, and they said it resonates with them so much, and I guess the more people I've spoken to, not just in the UK, in different countries as well, that there are some similarities in the educational sector, I guess, where students are kind of do fall through the net. But the thing that you mentioned as well was the confidence and how did it was low self-esteem and lack of confidence within that that environment, I think will go hand in hand, because I guess in school you were obviously really struggling, and then again, the mind talk that people are saying, they're not good enough, you're stupid, and all these kind of things is bound to knock your self-esteem down. Did the school start building your self-esteem back up? Was it the school that kind of, I'm not saying that they cured the self-esteem, because we know there's so many different elements to that, but was it the school, did the school help with building your confidence back up, Mark?
It helped in the way that when I went down to the school initially, I had never met somebody else that was dyslexic. And I thought I was unique. And I've been told all the way along I wasn't going to make anything of my life. I was not going to achieve anything in my life. And my father, when he got better, he went and took me along to the local council and had introduced me to them. And he thought I could maybe I would be lucky. I would get a job in the parks department, and that would maybe be me for life. So he didn't think I was going to ever make anything in my life. So when I went down to the school and then saw other dyslexic people, and was like that, I'm not unique. I'm not daft. I'm not stupid. I'm not thick. So, and then the headmaster having the foresight to say, right, I mean, I used to go to the pub, and I was able to, I would send drinks through to the teachers and so on. I'm not saying I went when I wasn't allowed to, of course.
Not saying that part.
And if I didn't like what was on, I was able to go to a local place and go and get a meal, and had the money to be able to do so. Well, all of that was just totally alien to me, to be able to be independent, and actually all these things allowed me to build a confidence that I never had, and I just didn't have any of it at all.
So the school. So did you then excel in certain subjects in school? Did you fall kind of in love with school again? Was there elements, or was the not the damage was already done, but did the school allow you to kind of, because you're incredibly creative. Okay, that goes without Val. That creativity. Was it kind of the school years that embraced that, or was that kind of afterwards that you had a passion for what you do now?
Well, while at school, again, I mean, the headmaster would allow me the keys to go into the school when nobody was back from school. And I would be the only person, no teachers, no nobody, and I'd be the only person in the whole building. And he would allow me to do that. And some of the teachers did the same. And in the woodworking room, I would be given the keys and I would be allowed to go and work away. I wasn't a team player, and I'm probably still not a team player. I am very much kind of just try and keep my head below the perfect if possible, but I do sometimes that is not the way it works, but I try and do that. And so they had a forge there. They had doing woodworking, they had drawing, and they had poetry. So yes, it allowed me to sort of, but I didn't sort of excel or show anything. Yeah. I just kind of kept myself to myself and just did a few wee things. And people would be like, "You did that, did you?" But didn't. I won one or two wee kind of prizes and so on, but I tried to just keep quiet. And then after that, it was kind of perceived that I'd go into work in my father's business. And I did do that for a while, but that wasn't quite the way. And then I worked for an American pharmaceutical company. Then I worked in advertising and marketing for a while. Each time it was kind of a struggle, different things that I got myself involved with. But yeah, I did advertising, marketing, enjoyed. And then eventually my father sold the business. I had a small shareholding in it, so got a few pound. And so it was to put your money where your mouth is and have a go at it. And basically that's what I ended up doing, set my own business up, and haven't looked back.
Absolutely, and that's incredible. I'm just going to share one of these comments, Christina. There are so many different ways of perceiving, and it's great to bring awareness to that and support those who find themselves in similar shoes. Inspiring story. All these comments on here, Mark, are all saying incredibly inspiring and humbling. It is so, and I knew once I got you onto the stories, it would be and people would be able to resonate with things that you've done and again be inspired by what you've achieved. If I could just go back to the when you mentioned about not fulfilling, not feeling completely fulfilled in what you've achieved in those. Do you think that maybe, and again, I'm not saying it's a neurodiverse kind of trait or definitely dyslexia, but I can resonate in so many aspects. I mean, I've had separate careers, I in corporate, got very, very high in the level of corporate, then set up several different businesses and grown. But I'm always evolving, I'm always moving on to something else. Some would say it's that kind of magpie, shiny syndrome. But I always feel like I need to kind of evolve as well as. Do you think that you find that as well, Mark?
What I was taught years ago, that we all have weaknesses, and as a dyslexic, I'm no different. I have quite a lot of weaknesses, and if it's possible, play to your strengths and shore up your weaknesses. And that's very much what I try to do throughout my life. And I've got a PA that has been with me for quite a number of years, and literally I could not function without my PA. She shores up all my weaknesses, and that allows me to play to my strengths that dyslexia has fortunately given me. I've got myself involved with property as well in America and different places, so that has allowed me the luxury, I think is the best way of describing it, to do the pieces and the sculptures that I want to do. And last year was the 30th year anniversary. So what I've decided to do, that I have done plenty in the past to try and help different charities, and quite often the last piece, and if I do an edition, gets given to a charity. I've done a piece that went to South Africa, and it was for Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu's charity to help raise money for a centre built in the bush for kids suffering from HIV, and done stuff for WWF and so on. So what I'm doing at the moment is I gifted a piece that's in the Scottish Parliament to the Scottish people that's been there for years, and I've also doing a piece trying to use Scottish gold to help two charities, and I've got another piece that's called the Hostage Hippo that got held hostage back in 2014 in a hotel, and it was in the front page of papers. So again, I'm trying to help two charities with this piece as well, and raffle it, because a lot of people can't afford to buy one of my pieces, and I accept that. So what I'm trying to do with this piece is to see it could be worth, well, it is quite worth a lot of money, is try and raffle it to raise money for a charity in America, and looking at a charity in Africa as well to kind of split the money. And I'm also helping a dyslexic chap. I'm kind of mentoring Angus Fairburn.
And so giving back for you plays a massive part within your life. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's definitely
It was kind of last year, as for my 30th, I thought, do I want a nice car, or a watch or whatever, and I was like, I've had these in the past, and it doesn't press any buttons in my head. To kind of put something back that very much it gives something back to me, because what I went through, and I've got over a believer that everybody can put something back, and it doesn't have to be financial. But I'm in a fortunate position with my works of art that they become valuable and they can raise money and help people. And if it inspires one person, I've achieved something, and that's
Absolutely,
worth
Mark.
more than anything else to me.
I'm gonna come back to that, Mark. I'm just gonna share some of the comments that we've got up here from Catherine. It says, "I have dyscalculia and experience sign in pain, shame, young students struggling, feeling different. Is it influenced my teaching of dyslexic students? And I see my role more than a skill builder, but confidence builder. Did you ever find a teacher able to share their story, compassionate, etc.? And if not, what would be your message to current teachers out there, especially for students not diagnosed earlier?" Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess it's just it comes back to the educational side of it and how precious child's minds are at such an early age, and how they can be the impression that we can kind of put on them with some of the words. If I'm not asking you to come in with change the educational system, but do you think that there more could be done, and what would you have hoped for yourself, Mark?
Well, I was disappointed that dyslexia, even though it had been recognised back in the 1800s, had never really been advanced in any way. And if I can tell one story, there was a lady that used to live down the road who was a retired headmistress, and she was absolutely lovely, such a lovely, lovely lady. And she helped to try and teach me, not knowing I was dyslexic. And then once I was diagnosed as being dyslexic, my parents turned around and told her that's what it was. And she kind of took a gasp and said, "I failed in life." And they kind of looked at her and thought, "Sorry?" She says, "I was a headmistress. And when I start thinking back, some of the kids that I was teaching, I have actually ended up putting them into institutions and institutionalizing them. I know what was wrong with them was they were dyslexic." And she says, "I didn't know." And she says, "I have actually ruined some people's lives." And it's quite shocking when you think the ignorance that's behind it. But the school I went to down in Sussex, as I say, the teachers there, they were characters of the first degree. And that's what kind of connects with me, is characters. One of them had run his own business, and one had done this and so on, and they knew about life.
Yeah.
And so it kind of inspired, it kind of opened my horizons and opened my way of thinking. I was never going, well, maybe never is the wrong word, but in my head I was never going to be academic and go to art school or go and do this, because it would just be an uphill struggle all the way for me. And I just wouldn't have enjoyed it. It just would be pleasure to me. So I just never went down that line. The same as I wouldn't lift a book up. The other half, when we go on holiday, she'll take a book or and sit and read it, and quite a few books, and read it. I would never think of lifting a book and reading it for pleasure. But if there's a classic car, or there's something that I'm interested in, I will lift a book and read that. But it's got to be something I've really, really got to be interested in. I will do
Absolutely.
it. But for pleasure, I won't.
No, absolutely. And I guess it is that drive. It drives you, isn't it? I mean, the thought of picking up a book, that I get excited by because I love design and graphics and and all those elements. So I'm almost drawn by a book, the excitement of what the possibilities could be, but more so what the title and the cover. But I know that once I start flipping, flicking the pages over and reading, I would get, it would have to be something really great to pull me in. But then it's strange because my partner, who absolutely could read a book in a day, you know, in the sense because you know, it's just I think it's kind of like magic. It's magical. You go, have you read that book? And yeah, it's done. You know, for me that would be like a 2-year project. But it does need to. You're absolutely right. It does need to have something that you know that draws you in. Mark, can I bring you on? So you're an ambassador for Dyslexia Scotland. And you've been working with them, you know, for quite some time. How did you get involved with that? Was that again something that that you wanted to kind of give back within the dyslexia world? Was that, and then did you get in touch with them?
Well, how it came about was I used to live down in London and used to help the British Dyslexia Association down there, and equally Sir Jackie Stewart did as well. And then I came back up to Scotland, and Dyslexia Scotland got in touch with me. There was an article in their magazine on this: is why are you helping down there, not helping here? So, well,
trying to pull you back up.
Fair point. So yes, I was very, very honoured that they asked me to be an ambassador for them. And I keep kind of thinking, I don't do enough, I should do more. But they say, look, you do lots of things.
Absolutely.
I keep feeling as though I'm whether that's harps way back to people saying you don't do this, you don't do that, and it's kind of schooling. And if you hit a little wobble in the road, it's funny how all the things at the back of what everybody told you when you were younger and so on seems to ricochet right back at you again. So the reason I get involved is I can just give anything back and help anybody in any way to not go through what I went through and give somebody, most important, confidence.
And so the person you're helping with is that part of Dyslexia Scotland?
Yes,
that you're
very much so. Today we're at Foundry doing quite a number of pieces of mine at the moment. Let's see if I can do it. But I don't know if you can see it's not finished yet. It's still getting worked on. But it's a huge coffee table that's about 2.5, well, it's over 2.5 meters long coffee table that I'm doing for somebody.
Wow.
And various media has picked up on Angus's piece, and today the film crew through and we're filming Angus here at the Foundry, and his piece getting done. The One Show contacted us and have said they could be interested in doing something, but they didn't have a film crew, so I managed to get a hold of a film crew to come through and film Angus to do his piece. Angus is here if you've got a quick minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Angus, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. How are you getting on?
Yeah, very well, thank you. You've just been sort of thrown in to to speak. So are you involved with Dyslexia Scotland, or how working with Mark does that?
Well, I reached out to Dyslexia Scotland a few years ago because I was looking to make a bit of a career change into more get more back into the creative industry, so to speak. And then so I touched base with them and I was keeping in touch, and they were helping me out with a couple of things. And then they put me in touch with Mark, who very kindly had offered to fund and sort of mentor me, so to speak, and fund a piece that otherwise there's no way I would be able to make. So it's been quite an opportunity. And it's been interesting to hear Mark's story as well.
Absolutely, and are you learning lots from from Mark?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of new sculptor as such, but I'm loving it, and yeah, it's something I really want to continue. And to be honest, I was quite naive about the process. There's so many steps involved, and it's such an art form the guys who make the pieces and the effort that gets in. I've been quite blown away by it. It's been quite a learning curve.
I was going to say,
to come yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I love seeing Mark's progression and your guys' progression, and like you said, that the work that goes behind the scenes of that must be absolutely immense to produce something of sheer beauty is that. But it's so are you with Mark long? You hoping to be with Mark long?
What, today or just
no in general, and then.
Well, it's early days yet, so who knows what will happen once the piece is finished. There's a fair distance to go yet, and then
incredible.
I'm very much in Mark's hands as to what we do with it once we're finished, so to speak. He's the boss.
But you're learning lots, and you're enjoying it.
He's got the insider knowledge. I'm just doing as I'm told. At the moment, I'm just trying to take advantage, to be honest. Absolutely,
it sounds like you're in incredible, in great hands within that side of it. And it'd be interesting to see the things that you'll probably produce later down on the line with Mark's help.
Well, I very much hope it could just be the beginning of something. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so... I totally agree. I mean, to be in those surroundings as well is incredible.
This is my pal here. This is what's getting cast today. Oh, there we go. This is just part of it, so it should be pretty stunning by the time it's actually cast in the bronze. Quite striking.
It's just incredible.
It has a wee man on the top, and I don't know if Mark said it, but the idea is it's a take on the David and Goliath story. So this is Goliath, and then we'll have a tiny David on top. So this is Goliath defeated, decapitated with his catapult wound, and there's a book. There's a Michael Gladwell book in which he refers to dyslexia as a desirable difficulty, which basically translates as dyslexia often enhance on the skills they're good at that other people take for granted. Because they struggle with many things that your average Joe finds easy, so they really push to enhance on what they are good at. I.e., like being creative or people skills, or in areas they have to compensate.
I love that. So, that meaning behind it, and I think Katrine said, awesome and clever twist. It really is, to take something which is bed in history in the sense of it's in our the story that we kind of grew up with, and then to kind of be able to kind of twist it around the dyslexia side of it. I think it's just true.
Yeah, so to put a sort of contemporary twist on a very well-known story, classic story. But I think it's fitting. It gets the message across. I think it's simple, something most people can understand.
I think it's absolutely incredible. Well, I wish you the very best of luck with getting that done. And I know Mark said that you've got a film.
No problem.
here as well, a bit later.
Yeah,
so
good luck with your podcast and your great work you seem to be doing.
Bless you. And
would you like to speak to Mark again?
Yeah, I can do, but I just want to say a massive thank you for you jumping on and saying hello. And it'd be great to talk to you more in the future.
Yeah, well, hopefully I have more to show for myself.
You're doing an incredible job. You're doing an incredible job. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
No problem.
Mark, what an incredible chap.
He is, very much so.
Incredible chap.
The piece will look spectacular when it's cast in bronze. That you've got all the different finishes and all the different angles, so there'll be heights and so on. So the piece will look spectacular when it's done. But what I'd hope to be able to do with it is he's got an expression there that if you enlarge that to a public work of art to sit somewhere, that will look really spectacular. So somewhere around the world, hopefully we'll get it to. I haven't told him yet, but that's my idea, is to try and take it to the full size. So what I'm doing to try and help them is, one, mentoring them, but two, paying for the mold and paying for the piece to be cast in bronze. So that gives them a piece that we can sell that raises money for him to help his career, and then kind of move it forward. And he owns the copyright, he owns the design, and I'll register the design for him. And then we'll see if we can get that to enlarge and find somewhere in a public space to put it in. So that's what,
wow.
There we go.
Mark, that's incredibly humbling to see, and I can't wait to see the final the final piece. So I'll be keep messaging you to see to see what that looks like. Mark, we're coming as always. This is we're coming up to the end of the talk, which I could talk to you for hours, and I'd love to see more kind of sculptures and behind the scenes of your business. But it has been absolutely incredible having you on here, Mark. I cannot thank you enough. We've had some incredible comments on here and some questions. If we haven't been able to answer your question on here, then I will jump back onto LinkedIn and if Mark gets a chance to answer any questions. So if you wanted to ask any questions, then we will kind of work our way through through those as well. But Mark, I just want to say thank you so much indeed for coming. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. And hopefully, as I say, it inspires one person around the world, because dyslexia and neurodiversity is not just local, it is worldwide. And there's so many people in other parts of the world that are less fortunate than ourselves, who very much need help. And I mean, yourself for what you do in Kenya and Bali, I think is fantastic. Well done, you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you again. I will catch up with you very, very soon, Mark, and I will see you soon, Mark. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So guys, that was Mark. I hope, I'm sure you'll agree with me, what an incredibly inspirational chap he was, doing absolute phenomenal work. He is incredibly humble as well. There's a lot of stuff that he shared. Obviously, he probably couldn't share on the live stream, but the work that he's doing as well, charitable wise, not just like I said in the UK, across the world, is absolutely truly incredible. So if you get a chance to connect with him or see the work that he's doing, I would definitely urge you to do that. So again, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that continues supporting this channel. I'd like to say a massive thank you to our new sponsors, Scanning Pens, as well, for supporting on this. We will be back next Friday at 11 a.m. for our next neurodiversity stories with another incredible guest, and we'll catch you then. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.